Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast.
Hi.
I don't know why I did the high voice there, but I did it. And
Well, puberty setting in.
puberty is setting in.
Puberty 2.0. Speaking of hot flashes, have you seen the Stray Kids' new music video?
Wow, we went right into that one. Okay. Woo!
Smooth segue.
I have. In fact, I did an entire 12-hour countdown or something ridiculous.
Yeah, you were doing some crazy shenanigans, but you've been doing some crazy shenanigans on your channel for like the last month or so. So it's just normal to me at this point.
What kind of what is crazy shenanigans are you talking about?
The Psynergic I knew.
Oh.
The Psynergic I came to know and love. The Psynergic I grew up with.
Oh God. We going there.
He would post like the occasional video, like one, maybe two videos a day. Okay. And you know, he wouldn't stay up past a certain hour.
Oh, here we go.
To do anything. He would, you know, he would go to bed at a normal time. He would wake up. He would go to work. He would do his school stuff. He would, you know, whatever. And you know, he would post at normal hours. But the Synergic that I've seen as of late is a hooligan, a ruffian who stays up till all hours of the night.
Not true.
Sometimes past 11 o'clock at night.
No.
He's watching boys, and sometimes boys with other boys. And he's talking to people about boys with other boys.
Oh my God.
He's talking to strangers online.
Oh God. Oh God.
And he's posting all kinds of videos. And I'm just like, this is not the Sean that I grew up with.
Oh.
The Sean that I grew up with is a good, wholesome man, and this is something else.
He's not.
No, but back in the day when Synergic and I first hooked up, or when we first linked up, we haven't gotten into story time yet, y'all. I didn't see any comments saying that y'all wanted any dating history, so we won't get into that story time right now. But back in the day when Synergic and I first linked up, and we were, you know, having the fun, doing the collaborations and whatnot, he had a pretty routine, I'll say, sort of upload schedule, you know, record, edit, upload, blah, 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 blah. But as of late, like, I've just been seeing upload. Like, my notifications are going off. Like, upload, upload, listen. News. And then I'm seeing upload at all kinds of peculiar hours, because back in the day, it was pretty, you know, like I said, routine. You'd get a upload at, like, somewhere between 7 and 10 a.m. Maybe you'd get two, but they'd always usually fall somewhere in between the realms of, like, 7 a.m., 10 a.m. my time, which would be 7 p.m. to 12 p.m. if you're in the Philippines. But like now, all of a sudden, I'm seeing uploads at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, this, that, the other. I'm like, Sean, why are you awake? Sir, go to bed, sir. And like the quick turnaround to some of these reactions, I'm like, sir, why aren't you sleeping? How? So, wow, that was a rant I went on. It's only been, it felt much longer than the 4 minutes that my timer is telling me I've been recording for. But that was a rant. Sorry, guys. I'm going to let Sean talk.
That was a good rant. It was a good rant. I don't have anything else to say.
No follow-ups, no rebuttals.
I will say that I have been trying to keep pretty quick on things because, you know, as far as a reactor is concerned, the quicker you do things, the more views it typically gets. That was not always conducive to my lifestyle, and it's still not necessarily, but I'm trying to be a little bit better. I'm putting more eggs in this basket, let's say. I'm trying to be better about it. So
all manner of eggs. He got chicken eggs, he's got ostrich eggs, he's got quail eggs, he's got dinosaur eggs. He's got all kinds of eggs in his basket. Lord Jesus.
So many eggs.
So many eggs.
We love it.
But yes, that music video.
Did you actually watch the music video? I
finally got a chance to sit down with it last night because I wanted to watch the things when they came out, but
sure,
I'm an awful fan. I make no no qualms about that. I'm an awful human being. But no, last weekend, the latter half of the week was just really, really busy because we had middle school in for like for Thursday, Friday, Saturday doing a series of shows. So we had to tech the whole show, rehearse, blah, 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 blah. And we were in there until like 10, 11 o'clock at night. And then we had to roll around and get up and go back and do the same thing again. I think like 8 o'clock in the morning. So like getting off of work, I was tired. I did not have the energy to sit down and record, and I wanted to be in a particular sort of energy level headspace to record to my babies. So I was like, okay, I can either just tough it out now and give some sort of reaction and be on time, or I can just rest, sleep, take care of myself, and then when the weekend's over, just make the time and just be like 3 or so days late. So I opted for the latter. And after I got home from, well, not even after I got home from work yesterday, because after work then I went to an audition. After I got home from an audition yesterday, I sat down in front of my computer. I was like, okay, we're going to do this. I don't know if I'm going to get through the full album, but I'm going to get through at least all the tracks with them as a group, as, you know, the 8 of them. So I got through the first half of the Maxident album as far as recording reactions. I was like, okay, I will come back tomorrow or the next day and look at the last 4 tracks where they've split off into like their little subunits. But yeah, that video was the first thing I dove into, and I had to pause many a time. And people who watch my reactions know that I don't necessarily like to pause the things when I'm reacting to unless the moment strikes me. Because I know there are a lot of reactors who pause like 700 times throughout the video just for the sake of like, I don't want the copyrights gods to get me. And I get it. As a reactor, I get it. I understand it. I get the game. You do you, baby. You make your money. I ain't mad about it. But like, as a person who likes to watch reactions, one of the things that irritates me is that consistent pausing without any like real reasoning or substance behind it. Like people who pause for the sake of like, oh, I have to say something at this particular point. Cool, I'm fine with that. But like people who are just like, okay, I have to pause this every 20 seconds, so I'm just going to pause here and I'm going to not really say anything. All right, now it's time to unpause so I can blah, blah, blah. I'm like, meh, that kind of irritates me. So I try to avoid pausing in the middle of a reaction unless like something inside me is like, you have to say this and you don't want to miss what's in the video. You got to get this out of you. So I had to pause the video like 6 or 7 times.
Understandably.
Because there were just lots of things visually that were, I enjoyed.
The editing was so good.
It was so good. Oh my God.
They went all out.
Legit. Like, and I thought when I reacted to their circus music video that editing was good, and it was, but like there was just something about this that was like, I loved the use of color, I loved the composition, I loved there's just so many things about it from a just cinematography visual standpoint, putting the boys aside, because obviously the boys are magically delicious and we can talk about that in a second, but like just visually the video itself was just so enticing, and I was like, oh my God, I love this. Oh
yeah, no, I agree 100%. Like they used green screen, they used like everything, which I don't know if you saw, they actually released behind the scenes.
No, actually before we got on this call I was hopping on YouTube to see if there was one, because I've been seeing like a couple little clips or things like floating around Twitter, and I'm like, was this just like a little teaser or behind the scenes something that got released somewhere, or is there like an actual full behind the scenes of the making of the music video? Because like if there is, I need to watch that. So I'm glad that you told me that exists.
Yeah, it does exist. It's there, and now there's a bunch of performance videos for, you know, Taste, which you haven't listened to yet. So
I've not listened to Taste yet. I will, don't worry, because I feel like a couple of people have been either in my DMs or in my comments saying that was their favorite on the new album. So I'm like, okay, I look forward to seeing whatever this has in store for me.
Like I did a whole live.
I'm shocked.
On Twitch, right? When it came out, so it was nice because like there was just so much hype and so much shared craze going on in the chat, and it was so cool. 143 was one thing, but then you get towards that latter, like the second half of that album too. Oof.
Actually, no, don't go on. No.
I'm not going on.
I was going to say go on, but I'm like, no.
I'm just saying.
I mean, I will find out soon enough. Do we need to do a part 2 of this phone call? Do I need to just go record my reactions and then we can come back and finish this podcast?
I mean, if you want to.
Stay tuned, everybody. No.
That'll be next week.
Yes, next week we can talk about the things that second half of the album made me feel. But right now, the first half of the album makes me feel, well, happy,
yes,
fun,
yes,
nostalgic, in a sense for some of them. Like, there's something about the instrumentation or the musical arrangement with Give Me Your TMI and Chill that I can't put my finger on it, but it just felt very nostalgic in a sense that it felt like things that I was listening to, or that my brother and sister were listening to when I was growing up. It felt very reminiscent of things I heard them listening to, that sort of 90s inspired, kind of R&B, kind of pop, kind of this, that. Yeah, there's just something about it, and I can't quite put my finger on what it was, but I was just getting these very nostalgic vibes. I'm like, I am here for this. I am here for this.
I made comments of it sound like reminding me of, like, there were some elements like TLC, some elements of like Boys to Men.
Yes, very much that 90s pop R&B feel.
Some of it was just so classic 90s stuff like that. Hey, I'm like, oh my god, like, that's classic.
Like, I feel like if they shot a music video, it would be shot from the camera down below, and they would just be like crossing arms, crouching into the camera, like with oversized denim. Like, I can see it.
Always oversized.
Always oversized.
God, those clothes in the 90s. Ugh.
I mean, but I feel like I could say that about just about every decade.
Yeah, except I was a kid then, so, you know.
I have pictures in them.
Yeah, those really baggy, super baggy jeans that everybody wanted. I don't even remember what they're called anymore. You know what? I'm going to look it up. Hold on. We have the internet.
We do have the internet. Couldn't say much about it in the 90s, but, you know.
Jeans. No, God, no.
Not without dialogue. Oh, Jesus Christ. People, go away. Not go away, but sorry, not go away. I'm not super fond of group chats.
No, I don't know. I don't like it.
What, especially if it's more than 3 people in the chat, I'm not super fond of group chats. But when I was doing The Color Purple a couple weeks ago, our stage manager would communicate through all of us via group chat, group text messages to let us know, okay, today's your testing day, today's this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. Oh, call time is this, that, and the other. And ever since the show closed, it's been mostly quiet. Like, when the hurricane was, you know, potentially going to hit us last week or the week before, whenever that was, like, you know, we checked in with each other like, oh, I hope everyone's okay, you know, blah, 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 blah. But for the most part, it's been quiet since the show kind of closed down. And then for whatever godforsaken reason, someone decided to go in the chat today and be like, I miss you guys so much, blah, 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 blah. And it's just unleashed. Like, I've had the conversation on mute since before the show was over, because I'm like, I don't need to deal with this. But literally since you and I started this conversation 14 and a half minutes ago, I had 94 missed text messages in this group chat. Oh my
God.
And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I don't go to bed. I don't know. Leave me alone.
I don't want any of that. I don't want it.
And I don't want to, like, leave the group chat, because I don't want people to be like, oh, well, there's Topher, and he doesn't like this, that, and the other. But at the same time, Topher's kind of like, well, I don't like this, that, and the other. I just don't want them to know.
I hate group messages, honestly. We used to have one for my cohort in the PhD program. But there's only 5 of us, so it's not that huge of a deal. But sometimes I was just like, man, I do not feel like talking in this right now. And if I don't respond, 1, they'll see that I looked at it. And 2, I'll be a
Yeah.
I don't want to be that. Okay, let me bleep that part out. I'd be a jerk face, sorry.
Whoa, where did that bleep come from?
Yeah, so once you get to the second half of that, like, I feel like the 90s vibe dissipates. Like, it doesn't really feel like that anymore. have their own vibe, but definitely that first half of the album, I was getting nothing but 90s. Maybe not Case 143. But.
Yeah, not so much that one, but from the second, third, and fourth track, like they would just, well, second and third track specifically. The fourth track, maybe a little bit. It was the last one I reacted to. I remember it not being my favorite. It wasn't bad in any way, shape, or form.
No, of course not.
Super Bored.
Oh, Super Bored. Oh, that's listen, did you watch any of the teasers?
No.
Okay, well then you need to watch the teaser because the visual because you get the visuals of the Nyom.
Well, no, I understand the Nyom. Like, I understand what's happening there. And I even said in my commentary, like, the song itself reminds me of, like, Backstreet Boys Millennium era surfboards suspended over the concert, just like air. Like, if they were to perform this in concert, I could see that being like the visual aesthetic to how they interact with the audience, and like I like that aspect of it. But just like the song itself, just like there wasn't anything bad about it, but of the four that I listened to, it was just my least favorite.
Which is, you know, when the standards are so high, then, you know,
something's gonna be your least favorite, something's gonna be your favorite. Like that's just how any album or project's gonna work.
You say after you listen to the other half.
I mean, but as of right now, if I had to pick a favorite just of the first half, I think Give Me Your TMI was in my top spot, but it was like neck and neck with Chill.
There's definitely been one song that has been on repeat way too. Well, actually two, and it's the last outside of Circus. The last two. The
last two besides Circus.
Yeah, so Taste and Can't Stop.
Well, why not Circus?
I mean, it's basically the same thing. It's just in Korean.
So I don't need to react to it then. Okay. I was debating it. I was like, I already reacted to the Japanese, and I don't know that there's going to be anything really different aside from the language. But okay, yeah, that's good to know.
That's it. All right, guys. See you later.
Bye.
It wouldn't be a podcast without me trying to end it prematurely.
Sean and his premature ending things. Yeah,
that's right.
That's what he's.
It's over.
It's what he's known for. It's why he's famous, y'all.
First and foremost, I'm not famous, and second,
I mean,
am I known for anything besides like?
Yes, premature finishing. We just talked about this, but also your fame. But yes, the Case 143 music video I enjoyed. The cinematography I enjoyed. The wardrobe, and not just the obvious wardrobe that people who know me would, think I would flock to. I mean, obviously, yes, I enjoyed the police uniforms and the things, and anytime leather was involved.
Oh my God!
But even just when they were in just normal, the sailor uniforms, first and foremost. I'm sorry. Can we talk about these sailor costumes? Can we talk? Like, I saw the pictures on Twitter. I saw like the little preview, sneak peek thing. So I'm like, okay, I knew that they were adorable, but like these sailor costumes. Han in this sailor costume makes me feel things.
Did you pre-order an album?
I did, but I did it late, so it hasn't come yet.
Right.
So I did it too close to the actual release date because life was crazy and I just wasn't thinking about things.
I mean, because then you'll get to see them a little closer.
Oh, I look forward to it. I have my Ordinary sitting right here in front of me, and I remember the things I saw in that. So I look forward to when that finally arrives in the mail. Don't you worry. Post will be made. But yes, Han in his sailor costume with his little decolletage just all on display made me feel things.
Racha just shouldn't even put on a shirt with those.
I mean, I'm not opposed to any of that. Felix in his elbow-length black gloves, giving me all manner of things to think about. I love IN and this like sort of natural wavy curly thing he's got going on with his hair in this video. I think it's the most adorable thing. Hyunjin and his light denim with the bleached out hearts. Super adorable, and I love it. Like, there's just so many points in this where I'm like, oh my god, everyone is so freaking adorable. I love this.
For real. And yeah, I mean, IN is one of those that have just been like killing it lately.
For real though.
She's like coming out of nowhere and just like trying to destroy everybody in a second.
He's like, you guys thought you had biases, but hi. I've been sitting patient and quiet long enough. I'm here now.
I'm not the baby anymore.
I'm 21.
I'm a man.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember how old they said they were. I don't know. All I know is I reacted to them like responding to Wired's most searched questions on the internet or whatever. And they're like, what are the Stray Kids' ages? And I'm like, I'm sorry? You guys are fetuses. Why did I think you guys were... Not all of you. I obviously knew some of you were youngins, but I'm like, why did I think at least some of you were so much older? Like, oh my God, you're all fetuses and I feel dirty. But you're legal fetuses, so I feel less dirty.
Yes, all legal.
All
which is
legal.
Important.
In all countries. They're legal in all countries.
I mean, yeah, I feel like I've thought that too at one point or another, where I just thought they were older. I think it's because I think of Bang Chan and his age compared to them, and I'm like, oh, well, they're all close. But no.
But even then, I thought there was at least someone in this band that was 26 or 27.
He is, isn't he?
No. Well, it depends. Like, because someone brought up a good point in my comment section. Like, maybe you're thinking about their Korean age versus... And I was like, what does that even... Fair. I was like, what does that mean? And then one of my coworkers, who's one half of the internet, he was like, oh yeah, I just so happened to like be randomly reading this article about this exact topic at some point in time. And I'm like, of course you did. And he gave me the whole breakdown of what that meant. I'm like, that is so bizarre to me in my head, because I'm like, man, it just... because it's not really bizarre, it's just such a different way of keeping track of age than what I was raised in, what I'm accustomed to. So like, I'm like, wow, so they've got two different age markers they're going by, and still they're both fetus ages. Man.
I just found a Korean age calculator. I don't like the fact that I'm 2 years older than my actual age. I don't like it.
So if there is any Korean in my heritage, I denounce it. Not an age. I'm not that age.
Don't ever make me that. I don't ever want to be. Don't make me 2 years older.
Dare you guys say that I'm 25. I'm obviously 23 years old. Rude.
Yeah.
Y'all get off Instagram and stop trying to find my most recent birthday post, okay? No.
So you're already a year old when you're born.
You start at 1, and then once January 1st is, or once the new year starts, it's like, bam! Now you're the next
double.
year.
No wonder it's 2 years for me, because I was born right at the end of the year.
See, there you go. Government's like, this is how old you are, and then it's up to your parents or your family to keep track of that other birthday. Which is great for people born on, the first of the year. They got it made.
I mean, sure, that's easy. I mean, I'm sure when you're like young, you're like, yes. Now that I'm not 2. Like, no, give me every second that I can, thank you.
Why is this AARP membership coming in my mail? Please go away.
Yeah, come in my... Yep.
So that's the podcast, guys. We'll see you next week.
Hey, it wasn't me this time.
Did we decide on a name for this week's episode?
No, of course not. No.
Or the podcast in general?
No. I haven't even thought about naming the podcast. I'm just like, you know what? Whatever. We just call this the Whatever Podcast.
It's fine.
Whatever we feel like this week podcast.
If you want to, we can call this week's episode #BrotherBoyfriend. That's perfectly fine.
#BrotherBoyfriend.
Even though we didn't talk about it in any way, shape, or form.
No, but I like that even more.
Jesus.
Just because.
Oh my God.
Just because.
So since the last, because I was just opening up my phone, my notepad to look at my album names to see if I can come up with a name for this week's episode. Since the last time I opened my phone and I talked to you about this group chat, I now have 58 additional missed messages. Like I said, there's a reason I have this on sleep.
I don't blame you, because I don't like them. I know. Well, and it doesn't help that we keep, like, we've talked about it before, like how much spam we've been getting. And I don't know if that's related to just us being online all the time because of, what we do, or at least for me.
Yeah.
Or if it's just like everybody's experiencing it recently.
Well, I mean, no, because this is just a conversation I'm involved in, so this isn't even spam. This is just...
No, I'm just saying, like it's bad enough that you have to deal with the spam and this. Like, it's just...
I mean, I don't have to. Like I said, I put the conversation on mute like a month and a half ago. But as I was going back to my podcast names, let's see. Gooey Butter Cake. That could be the name of this episode. We already talked about hashtag brother boyfriend, but we also have the variant biological boyfriend or step boyfriend. We have tickling Sean's fancy ... with Topher.
Why is it my fancy? Why are we not tickling your fancy?
Because popular opinion shows that your fancy needed more tickling.
That's fair. My fancy has not been tickled in a while.
So that's why we're tickling Sean's fancy with Topher. Which I don't know if that means that...
I was going to say, is it you tickling it?
I don't know if it's that we're tickling your fancy and I'm the tool being used to tickle, like someone just like picked me up and like tickle, tickle, tickle. Or if it's like we're tickling your fancy and I happen to be present. Like,
I am imagining you in the corner of the room filming my fancy being tickled.
I mean, I don't necessarily have to film, but I do see myself in the corner of the room while this is happening. Perhaps there's a box of Krispy Kreme. I haven't decided yet. Some kind of cream eventually.
God. Let's make it creepy. Let's do the smile from that new movie, Smile.
Have you seen it?
I did.
Was it good? I haven't seen it yet. It's on my to-do list, but I just haven't gone places yet.
It was like they did a very good job of beefing up the creep value, but then like the creepiness. But they really kind of, I feel like they fell flat at the end for me. And they did a lot of like cheap jump scares. I'm not a fan of. Like it would be like we're building up the suspense phone call. So I didn't. It was good. I just didn't like the end necessarily.
Well, in comparison to Truth or Dare, the other one with a creepy smile.
I didn't watch that one.
You didn't watch that one? Okay, well, it's not a great movie.
I'd never thought that it was, so I didn't watch it.
I mean, I like bad, cheesy horror movies. Yeah. Just like I like going to see bad theater.
Have you ever watched A Haunted House?
Just like The Haunted House?
No, the movie, the parody.
I don't think so. Oh, no. Mm-mm.
You should watch that.
I mean, we can.
Let's watch it. Let's react to it.
Okay. I mean, I'm fine with that. All right, so look out for that, guys. I don't know when that's happening, but look out for that, too.
I made you watch Chuck and Dale.
You did, but I loved Chuck and Dale. I thought it was so much fun. Good. And, I mean, anything Alan Tudyk does, I love that man.
That was such a good movie.
It's fun. It's lots of fun. It's stupid. It's silly. It's fun. It's horror. It's literally everything I said. Like,
everything.
For context, you guys who don't know what the hell's happening right now in this conversation, like a month or month and a half ago, Sean and I were just chit-chatting, and it was like, we should hang out, together without it like being work. Like just, hang out, talk, watch a movie at some point. I was like, okay, cool. What do you want to watch? And then he kept trying to get me to decide what I want to watch. I'm like, well, that's trying to, I don't know, get a cat to take a bath or something else that's an impossible task, because like I'm the most indecisive person in the world.
That's true.
These are facts. I know about that. I don't deny it. But eventually he's like, well, I'm not going to pick anything, so you decide. Whatever. It's like, okay, well, what do you feel like watching? And I was like, I don't know, something horror or comedy or this. Like I just said a bunch of random genres. Like, how about Chuck and Dale? And it just fell under all those categories. I'm like, touche.
It's like what's it called? Chuck and Dale's something. Tucker and Dale. It's not Chuck. It's Tucker and Dale.
Tucker and Dale.
Tucker. Oh God. Tucker and Dale versus Evil is what we're talking about. I don't know why I said Chuck. 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 It's fine. It's close enough.
It's close enough. But yeah,
Tucker and Dale versus Evil, guys. Okay.
That one was a lot of fun, but it is not Halloween. It's October, so it's spooky season. So all about the horror movies. Actually helped one of my coworkers towards the end of last month devise her list of horror movies she's never seen that she can watch one every night this month. And she was actually falling behind, so she came over to my house Saturday after we got off work and caught up on watched Saw, and we were going to watch Jeepers Creepers, some of the lighter ones. But yeah, I love horror movies. I love scary stuff. I'm not usually scared by most of it, but I like them. Big fan of the 90s slashers.
Yes. They were so good. Like, I don't know. I just miss, like, I feel like there was definitely a golden age of horror movies, and people try to recreate it, or some like indie horror tries to recreate it, but it's just a lot of times it's just not. It's just cheesy. It's the same stuff. That's why, like, what was it called? Get Out, or that was good. There's like those couple of gems.
The Vavitch, I love.
You like that one?
You don't like The Vavitch?
No, I didn't.
Why didn't you like The Vavitch?
Or at least I don't remember liking it. I watched it with my
enjoyed
ex, so that could have been it.
That could have been it. Well, I mean, it's not for everyone, but I enjoy The Vavitch. And for no other reason than I just enjoy saying the title. Well, bye, guys.
That's it. BL wise, have you? Well, I know. Okay, I'm not gonna play coy. We have already talked about before this. Love in the Air has been our topic of discussion.
A potential topic of discussion. You know,
like I told you, I'm sitting here the day before the release of my video, and I'm like, oh my god. I went onto Twitter and I'm like, guys, I mean, if they've already seen my reaction because it was a live reaction, those who are on the stream,
right?
But I'm like, guys, now it's going on to YouTube, okay? Battle helmets. Get your shields up. Get your swords out. We're going to battle. It's going to be interesting.
I am very intrigued to sit down and watch it. You have no idea. Because, like, I reacted to it, or I recorded my reaction to it last week, towards the end of last week. And I knew, as soon as I got to a certain part, the end of the title sequence, that there was going to be some potential commentary that was probably going to come out of me, some potential backlash or pushback from, you know, people in the comment section, because I knew that there was potentially going to be the chance that I was not going to thoroughly enjoy this as much as everybody wanted me to, because there have been so many people who have been recommending this, and I've been seeing so many things swirling around Twitter. I don't know how I missed in all of the things I've been seeing swirling around Twitter the fact that it was a Mame series. Not to say that, you know, just because her name is attached to anything that the series has to be bad or good or this, that, and the other.
I mean, at this point,
I've only had experience with one series by her. I've heard of other series. I've heard things about other series, but I've only had personal experience with one series, so I can only speak, and it's only 2 episodes. We're still only on episode 2. I don't know if Sean ever wants to go back to Tarn Type, honestly. I don't know. But
it's one of those discussions, like, do you want to support something like that or not? And I don't know. Like, I don't know the answer to that question.
Yes, like, because we'll come back to Love in the Air in a second, y'all. But, like, when I first started watching Tarn Type, before I even, you know, tagged Sean into the picture, I think I made the initial commentary that you guys have already warned me a number of times that, based off of things I've said in other series reactions, other commentary I've made, that there are things that I'm not going to like, or there are things that I'm going to find triggering, blah, 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 blah. So us watching this right now, I'm aware that these things happen, and we're going to use this as an opportunity for discussion and just to talk about, okay, yes, this might have been written in a different time, an older time. I mean, 2 years ago.
But it wasn't.
2 years ago wasn't that different of time, but, you know, whatever.
It was like right in the midst of all of the anyways.
But I'm like,
go ahead.
I'm like, okay, we're going to just give this some benefit. It was written in a different time. It was written in the 1800s. We'll say that right now. It was written in a different time. You know, the world was a different place back then. COVID hadn't hit. You know, whatever. So, okay, I'll give it a little leniency in that regard, because obviously I know the BL genre, it's still, like, yeah, there are some older series that are, you know, staple series, but it's still a relatively newer genre. Sure. In comparison to, you know, some of your more longer standing genres like horror or comedy or, you know, this, that, the other. Like the BL genre, it's still, I wouldn't say it's in its infancy right now, but it's still a child. It's still, you know, a little baby. So I can understand that, you know, in the earlier steps, there's some growing pains. There's some missteps, some miscalculations. Just like me reacting to the history series. Like I started deep into the history series. I started with History 3 Trapped. Then I went to History 3 Make Our Days Count. Then I went to History 4. And then I backtracked to History 2 and then History 1. So it's like me starting with History 3 and 4, seeing where it ended, and then seeing where the thing started back in History 1. I'm like, oh man, we have made like leaps and bounds but just between this set of series and this set of series. So I can understand that sometimes it just takes time for evolution to happen. Sometimes you need to make mistakes to learn this, that, and the other. I get it. Cool. Whatever. So when it comes to Tarn Type, I'm like, we will use these. I may go off on certain things. I may, have certain reactions, but we will use this as discussion topics. We will use this as a way to open the conversation for why I feel this way, or why this may not necessarily been presented this in the best of ways. Because again, I don't care if certain topics are shown. Like obviously, yeah, sure. I would love a world where that wasn't the case. But like, I don't care if certain topics are shown in these series or in a movie or whatever it is. It's all just a matter of how you handle it, how you choose to display it. And my issue with the episodes of Tarn Type that I was seeing is that the use of that, that device, storytelling device, was being used in a way to like, oh yes, this is the romantic match that lights the candle of their love, and yes, now they're going to be this ship that's sailing in the night. And I'm like, no, that's not what this is. That's not what this is at all. And I'm not going to sit here and judge you guys for enjoying this, but I'm kind of judging you guys a little bit. So that was some of my issue with Tarn Type, where it's like just the presentation. And I know there are so many people, especially when I was going through Kin Porsche, Lord, the number of people in that comment section who were calling me out as a hypocrite for, going after Tarn Type and not going after Kin Porsche for this, that, the other. I'm like, first of all, y'all clearly didn't watch my Kin Porsche reactions, because I went in on Kin Porsche just as hard as I went in on Tarn Type. Like, don't get me wrong, I went in on Kin Porsche, but after I went in on Kin Porsche, two episodes later, they used that as a way to open a conversation between the characters. Kin and Porsche talked about it. We apologized. We had a genuine conversation about things that happened. We didn't just ignore the elephant in the room and like, oh yeah, this just brought us close together. Now we're in love. No, we addressed the elephant in the room. We discussed it and we moved forward. So I was like, okay, I'm fine with that, because again, it's opening up the conversation, and we're not just ignoring it and pretending like, oh, this is just love. This is how love starts. For me, Kin Porsche is yes, there are similarities in things that happen, but from what I've seen thus far, it was handled in a completely different way. And whether or not people like it or don't like it, that's fine. But I appreciate the fact that Kin Porsche took the time to address the issue in the room, to address the elephant in the room. And, okay, we got this cleared up, we got this closure, we move forward. Great. Where I haven't seen that happen with Tarn Type yet. But again, I've only gotten 2 episodes in. But yeah, those were reservations I had when it came to Tarn Type.
No, but I agree with you. I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. So like when it comes to Love in the Air, after I went on this whole tirade about Kin Porsche and Tarn Type, when it comes to Love in the Air, needless to say, like, no, it wasn't nearly as bad as a thing as I was expecting as soon as I saw Mame's name.
But nearly as bad is still bad.
Well, that's where I was going.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder there.
It's okay. Because I've had so many people in the comment section of my reaction to episode 1. Like, thankfully, their emotional tone, at least the way I'm choosing to read their emotional tone in their comments, hasn't felt as angry and attacky as Tarn Type commentary was, because there are people who are super duper protective over Tarn Type, and whatever, we like what we like, I guess. I'm not gonna fight that battle right now. But when it came to like my commentary with Love in the Air, I mean, as soon as a certain scene happened, I already, I gave people my look at the camera like, y'all already know what's coming. Y'all know what speech y'all about to get. So, just strap on in. But then, the scene didn't progress as badly as it appeared that it might. So I was like, okay, I'm thankful for that at least. Something's been toned out. But there have been so many people in the comment section who very quick to defend the series, very quick to defend the characters, this, that, and the other. And that's fine. I guess that's fine. But one thing that I wish they would remember, they would keep in mind when they're commenting on like my commentary, is the fact that they're coming into my reaction having the full scope of what happens in this series. Mm-hmm. They're coming into my reaction having all of the knowledge, all the backstory. Some of them have read the source material, so they know exactly what's going to happen. They know that even though it might have been presented in this way, that wasn't the actual intent behind the actions, whatever. That's fine. That's fine. But they're coming in with all this knowledge and like, oh, well, that's not how this is. He's actually a sweet guy. The situation is actually, harmless, this, that, the other. And I'm like, well, that's nice, but can you guys tell me that you had that exact same feeling when you watched the episode the first time, before you got to episode 2, before you got to episode 7, 8, whatever, blah, blah. When you watched episode 1 the first time, did you feel uncomfortable in certain things? I know some of you did, maybe not all of you, and that's, that's fine, that's your prerogative. But for where I am right now in the series, this triggered this particular speech because it made me feel, it was reminiscent of a feeling I had when I watched this scene over here or this scene over here. So that is where I am emotionally with this. So not saying that things couldn't be reconciled, not saying that things can't happen and that, it might not be, that it's not going to be a good story, this, that, the other. I'm not saying any of that. All I'm saying is right now, in the moment where I am, episode 1, I feel this way about things this character did. And then even if I were to take this particular scene out, if I erase this entire 5-minute scene from the entire episode, there's still things about the episode that just, I just found like, meh.
Yep.
There was some pacing things that I felt like, okay, things are just happening fast, blah, 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 blah. And again, people in the comment section are like, well, yeah, he probably seems fast now, but like when you get to episode 7 or something, it'll give you some backstory, this, that, the other, and we'll get some flashbacks and you'll see, oh, it's not really all that fast. I'm like, that's great. But for me right now in episode 1, this shit feels like it's happening fast.
I mean,
bitches falling in love with a quickness.
My question to these people are like, when is enough going to be enough? Like, is it whenever it's a female character in that position? Like, what is going to be enough? Because this is all the same. This is all the same plot point. It's used every single time. I knew episode 1 that this was going to happen because it's Mame, and that's what she does. I know that episode 2 is probably going to be worse.
I don't know.
What is going to be enough? Like, what is going to be the point for these individuals to go, man, this is bad. This is not okay.
Again, I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to kink shame anybody.
Kink shaming is one thing, okay? Sexual assault is another.
Yes, I agree. I hear what you're saying, and I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. You are hearing no disagreements from me.
Like I tend to be very maybe politically, like not politically, but just very understanding of most things. But when it comes to like trauma, maybe it's because of what I do. Maybe it's because of the literally hundreds of people that I've worked with who have experienced sexual trauma. I just get very, like, there is no, so to speak, pussyfooting around about it. I don't I don't tolerate it because I've seen the damage. I've worked with people, hundreds of people who have gone through this very thing.
Right.
And so these aren't just fictional tales, right? Like this is stuff that actually happens to these people. And like I forget what the friend's name is, but the fact that like he kind of went to his friend and even said that like he did this kind of thing, and his friend was just like, oh well, you know, he just kind of brushed it off, made jokes, and I'm like, you kidding me? That is not the good response. You need a new friend.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, well.
I don't know. My biggest issue is just, and we've talked about this before. It's just, this is a constant thing, but it's also something that is used against LGBTQ people all the time. All the time. It has been said that we are predators. We're always trying to convert people. We're going after children. We're doing all of these things. And this is fuel to that fire. This is ammunition for those who want to come after us and who do go after us. They say, see, look, right there it is. I told you. Even if it's fiction, they don't care.
No, they don't care if it's fiction. I mean, granted, do I think that those people are seeking out, like, oh, let me go wander in the world of BL for, you know, do I see them like coming across this? No, not necessarily, but
I mean, they don't have to watch, like, they don't have to go watch the series. All they have to do is have somebody send a clip.
Right. But like, yeah, like you said, it's representation. And again, God, I'm going back to like battles I've had in comment section where people are like, oh, well, it's fiction and you shouldn't expect morality out of this, that, the other. It's a BL series. It's kind of the basis of BL, you know, the flip of the power dynamic, this, that, the other. And I'm like, y'all, I'm sorry that I'm shitting on your show. I'm sorry that you love this show and I am shitting on it right now. My goal coming into any of these series is not to shit all over a series and make you feel bad about things you like. But the fact that I just enjoy consensual acts between adults and that offends you so much frightens me.
Yes. Like, yes. I love how you said that. Yes.
Like, it's one thing for, you know, me just not to like a show and you like a show, or for you not to like a show and I like a show. Fine. Cool. Whatever. Or if we have disagreements on these plot points, cool, fine. But the fact that, like, if you were to just tell me that, okay, you didn't like the movie Smile because of the ending or, you know, some of the other stuff, I'd be like,
sure,
okay, that's fine. And I might go watch this movie Smile and like, okay, I love the ending, or, you know, I like what they did because it's fine. Different opinions makes the world go round. That's great. But I'm not coming and attacking you like, hey, the fact that you don't like this ending is so offensive to me, and I think that you are a horrible human being. You are such a hypocrite. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't go do that. So the fact that people, like, I'm not out here, you know, trying to, I don't know, raise Hitler or something. Like, I'm just sitting here saying that, hey, I prefer to watch consenting adults do adult time shenanigans. That's the basis of most of my speeches. So when people in these series start kissing other people who are drunk, or kissing other people who are asleep, or outright, you know, assaulting people, and that triggers something in my mind, I just speak on it. Because again, I'm not saying that the world is perfect or these characters need to be perfect. Obviously, nobody wants a show where these characters are perfect because that'd be one boring ass show. But the fact that I'm just speaking out and saying, hey, I understand this stuff happens, but I just want to make it clear that this is not a kink for me. This is not something that does it for me. This doesn't entice me or get my motor revving or anything along those lines. I much prefer to seeing consensual adults have consensual fun. And some of you guys are so off-put by the fact that I would express that thought. Some of you are so offended by it. It's concerning.
Yes.
Why is the thought of consent so off-putting? And not saying that everybody who enjoys these shows is out here trying to, have non-consensual shenanigans, or, that they're trying to, indulge in this or that they support this. But I'm like, why is my not support of, these non-consensual things such an issue? why is it such a red flag for some people? I don't understand. I am perplexed. I am confusion.
It's also like, to a certain extent, you are kind of okay with it though, because you're not you.
I was like, girl, I just got done saying.
Not you, but I meant that those individuals are kind of like they're expressing a support for this kind of like, yes, these people do exist and representation matters, but the way that it's handled matters too. Mm-hmm. It's so light. It's so like cutesy music. It's like, no, they're going to love each other eventually. The excuses, and it's scary. It's scary the kind of excuses that are used that are also used by in court cases, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, you guys don't see this? This is exactly what this guy, I forget what the guy's name is. Some of these individuals use as an excuse whenever they actually do this to people. Mm-hmm. Like, you're using the same excuse for a series that a person used for doing the actual act of. That's scary to me.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand it. When it comes to Love in the Air, was it as bad as, say, Tarn Type or some of the other series people have listed in my comment section? No. But like I said in another conversation I was having with one of my subscribers via DMs, the fact that we have to grade this series on a curve against the other series that from this author is not a good sign about the series. Like, I shouldn't have to grade this on a curve of, it's not as bad as this series. Like, a series should be able to stand alone and be like, oh, well, this was good. Yeah, there was some things I didn't care about, some things I've changed, but oh, this series was actually pretty good. I shouldn't have to be like, well, it's not as bad as this series, so by default, it must be good, right? No. And again, for my fans of the series who have watched the series all the way through, I'm not saying that it is a bad series because I've not watched the entire series. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is the first episode left me just kind of meh. It didn't quite live up to all of the hype that everyone was like, oh my god, you have to watch this.
The actors are pretty. They're gorgeous.
Well, yeah, they're always going to be pretty.
But that doesn't excuse the writing.
Yeah. And like, so many people are quoting how the chemistry is so amazing and the acting between this one and that one is so good, and the storyline, it actually ends up just being something cute and fluffy and it's not all this bad and blah blah blah. And I'm like okay,
it's
okay,
it's all based on assault.
Like, okay, we'll see. No, I don't even, I feel like I'm just repeating myself 700 times at this point, so I'm just gonna sip my drink.
I don't know what else to say about it. Like, I don't know, as I said, I don't know what it's gonna take for some of these individuals to just get it, to finally understand the harm that these kind of series do. Not just, like, you can say, oh, it's from Thailand, but there's active harm being done in Thailand to gay people. Mm-hmm. It's not just in Thailand either. There are plenty of other people all over the world. That's the thing with these BLs now, that they're on YouTube and everything. Everybody can see them.
Yeah.
They can do two things. They can either help LGBTQ people around the world, or they can harm them.
Mm-hmm. And like, yes, where some people are in the comments section like, oh, it's fiction, so you really shouldn't expect, morality from this, that, and the other. I'm like, well, I'm old enough, I'm wise enough to be able to delineate, okay, yes, this is a bad example, and this is not an example I'm going to follow, versus, okay, this was something that was handled well, let's talk about maybe, I could apply this if the situation comes up. But there are a lot of people who are not as experienced in life as I am at the ripe age of 23. There's some people who, have not been in a relationship before. There's some people who are even older than I am who've not been in a relationship before, who may not know firsthand what love is like, and could potentially see these like, okay, this is normal. This is normal, and okay, fine. If this happens, then sure, it's normal. That's what I saw. These are the examples I got set for me. So again, not saying that, all media and TV needs to be 100% factual and,
of course,
representative of this, that, and the other. Like, I mean, that's why we have some of these things, for escape and, fantasy and all that kind of stuff. I get it. But there is a certain level of, for lack of a better term, responsibility that some of these series had, and it's not just the BL world, just in general, media in general, that they can play quite an influential part on impressionable minds.
Yes.
I'm not so impressionable right now. I'm kind of set in my ways. I'm a very stubborn person. Ask my mother. I'm a very stubborn person. So I'm very set in my ways at this point in life. But no
comment.
There are so many people who are not quite as set in their ways and are a little bit more impressionable and don't have the experience, don't have the just the life under their belt, where it's like, okay, they might see this and just think it's normal. They could have also grown up in abusive homes. They could have grown up in this, that, the other. So then seeing that, oh, okay, well, that's just normal life. Okay, cool, fine. And it's like, well, no, that's not what I would call a normal and healthy relationship. And like I've said in, Tarn type reactions, not saying that people who are assaulted in some way, shape, or form can't have love.
Of course.
Not saying that they can't find love. Not saying that they don't deserve love or healing and all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying that, maybe we don't present the assault as the catalyst for the love.
Yes.
Maybe we don't present it as, the thing that lit the spark. Maybe we present it in a different way.
But the question becomes, like, do you support this? Do you give it more of a platform? Because let's be clear, we've talked about it on this podcast, the symbiotic relationship that exists between a reactor and a series or a piece of music, whatever the case is, right? You give it a bit more of a platform whenever you react to it. So do you give it that platform? That's the question for me. And that's like, is it going to be more harmful if I give it that platform, or am I going to be able to do enough justice? Are people actually going to listen if I go into my rants?
See, that's where it's like a 50-50 give and take. Because, like, while I would love to believe that people would hear the words coming out of my mouth and, understand the things that I'm saying, the realist in me realizes that anybody who is like a huge lover of, say, Mame's works or Love in the Air, blah, 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 had they been listening to this podcast, stopped listening to this podcast 45 minutes ago.
Yep.
So, like,
oh, yeah.
When it comes to commentary I make in my, reaction videos, like, I would like to believe.
We see the data.
I see the data. My heart would like to believe that people are listening to the words that I am saying and listening to my explanation as to why I'm feeling a certain way. But my comment section tells me that people did not let me finish my sentence before they started typing. And they immediately paused the video and just started typing blah, blah, blah and left.
Yep.
Because I feel like I've repeated myself 700 times throughout the video. And I feel like I've made my point very, very clear. So there's a part of me that would love to continue some of these series just for the sake of having these open conversations. Yep. But there's also the other part of me that knows how many people actually stay behind to listen to the thoughts, and how many people just watch the real-time reaction while the episode's playing and they're like, okay, let me move on to the next thing, let me move on to somebody else.
Yep.
I would love to continue to have these open conversations, but at the same time, am I reaching the people that I want these conversations to be had with?
I'm gonna be honest, like, it's been hard to find the motivation sometimes for BLs at this point. Not that I haven't, like, there have been some really awesome BLs, but it's just that reality that, are they actually gonna listen like about what matters? And sometimes I feel, even within BLs, as an LGBTQ person, that I am still the outsider. And it's definitely been in the comments, whether it was yours that I went to and started to go it off on because of somebody, I forget what they were attacking you on. Or if it's my own comment section, it's just like, these are stories about us. And yet I feel like an outsider.
Well, remember, BLs, they're not stories for gay men. They're or about gay men. They're stories for women. Is that what it was originally, or written by women for women? The BL drama, it's not about gay men. It's not for gay men. If you want that, then you got to go look at gay drama, and that gets to the whole delineation between what's a BL series versus a gay drama. And I'm like, I don't care what title you want to give it. There's gay characters in this show.
They're gay characters. They're
gay-
our stories.
They're gay characters in this show, and I'm discussing the representation of my people.
Of gay people, which we identify as.
Popular to, public belief, I am a very homosexual man. I know. It's surprising. It's surprising. I know this. But I identify as a very not just a homosexual man, a very homosexual man. Advanced homosexuality. I have the advanced grade homosexuality.
He's so gay.
I've gone to doctors. I've gotten all kinds of creams. I've tried a pill or two. It just
made it worse.
It exacerbated. Even if the story is not supposed to be reality, blah blah blah, this, that, and the other, if you got a gay character in there, chances are I'm gonna see that representation and potentially have something to say, whether or not your intent was for them to be an accurate portrayal or whatnot. As a gay character, I see the representation, I'm like, okay, let's talk about this representation. Just like if I were to see an actor in a series, or a singer, a performer in a series, or a black man or a drag queen or something, I'm like, okay, well, I identify as all of these things too in different facets of my life. So like, hey, I relate to this character in a certain sense. Let's talk about how me and this character are the same. Let's talk about how we're different. Let's talk about this, that, and the other. So whether or not it was your intent when you wrote this script to have this be representative of a particular culture or group of people, it is.
Yeah.
So when that group of people decides that they have something to say about your portrayal of them, that's...
I mean, let's be honest. Let's take this outside of LGBTQ. Like, if I write something about non-white people, I should be judged accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing here. Okay, not exactly the same. Race is one thing. Sexuality is another, clearly. But if that group of people says, hey, this is actually harmful.
Right.
And I don't listen, I'm a problem.
If the community you are representing saying, hey, your representation is not beneficial to our livelihood, is not beneficial to us as a people, then perhaps you should listen to the people whose lives you're depicting in your tale.
Absolutely.
That's it. That's my main thing.
That's it.
That's the thing. That's it. Bye, guys.
That's it. Bye. No. For real, though. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. There'll be plenty of stuff out on... I'm sure my comment section tomorrow is going to be crazy.
Ablaze.
I'm sure, and I'm okay with that. I've brought out the sinners. I've recruited them all.
Sinners unite. Come on, babies. Don't let us down.
You guys will already know, because it'll by the time this comes out, the damage will have already been done.
Mm-hmm.
Thousands of people will flock away from my channel.
And that's fine. I mean, I would like that not to be the case. But if it's a case of thousands of people whose ideals are supporting this thought process, then okay, I don't need them on my channel.
Truly. I think that's it for this week. We've gone well over an hour.
Yeah, we got on a couple tangents. We really talked about two things, really. But, that's
okay. That's what we do.
That's what we do. 209 unread messages.
That's it. There it is.
That's the title.
I like it. Nobody else will know except for those who listen.
I mean, that's true. If you want to know the context of the title, you just got to listen to the podcast.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, 209 unread messages it is. Well, thank you for another thoroughly entertaining conversation, Sean. I enjoyed myself. It felt like therapy, in a sense.
Oh, well, I mean, that's kind of the nice thing about us getting together and having these conversations. Like, these are the things that have been plaguing my mind, so...
I feel very therapized.
All right, guys, that's it. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. If you guys like this episode, please hit that follow button on whatever platform you're on. Also, be sure to follow Topher on his channel at Topher Reacts at YouTube. And you can also follow me, Psynergic, at any social media with Psynergic. See you guys next week.